Hello and welcome everyone to another exciting installment of Pobble Live. As you can see, this week I've decided to sport my rainbow cardigan and Mickey Mouse tie, just in case you were wondering. Oh, I've got a little bit of feedback volume going on. Let's just turn that down there. Just monitoring along with the video. Okay, I'm just going to give it a few moments. Wait for anybody else who's going to join us. It's nice to see some people jumping into the chat already. Hi, I saw the chat about Lego Ninjago, I think, or something like that was going on. But I can see as well that we're ready to go, a few of us. So we've got hi, keep pobbling. Absolutely, we did our Pobble poem last Friday in assembly. That was exciting and got stuck in our head, particularly in year 6. If you've not been here before, please go over to the subscribe button and click it. It'll help the channel. Like the video. Good evening, sir, and good evening to you. I am a 6R. Greetings, child from 6R who is in my class. I can see a couple of people have already liked. If you haven't already, press the bell icon as well, and then you'll get regular updates about when the video goes live. Now, of course, Pobble prizes. There are 2 Pobble prizes to be won. 2 to 1. 2 Pobble prizes to be won. The first Pobble prize is for anybody who takes part in the live chat and the live lesson. The second Pobble prize, yes, 2. Yes, 2. The second prize is for anybody who brings me and shows me their Pobble work from either this week's Pobble Live or last week's Pobble Live. And I've already had quite a few children that have brought me their books and shown me their excellent Pobble work so far. We had 2 winners last week in our assembly, and they were really happy when they saw what prizes Mrs. Meredith had for them. So that could be you. You could be going and you could be getting your own prize. We have our usual Pobble Live font, our Pobble Live PowerPoint, and we have our coveted, yes, it is coveted, our Pobble star. And actually, today I've decided not to go with the simple yellow of the star that we usually do. In fact, if you look, it's actually quite textured. We'll have a zoom in, have a look. A textured Pobble star. Wow. It must be the end of half term. It must be the end of half term to have such a wonderful star. Hello. Do a dance. Yes, that's because one of my children in the class asked that I would last time, and I did that in the last video. If you want to see the dance, you can go back to the last video. We also have lots of videos now on our YouTube channel. So if you want to improve your writing or just to come up with some writing at home, please feel free to revisit some of the older videos. They're there. They've got some good sentences in there for you to work on. Please, I can see some people putting names in the chat. Please don't put your own name in the chat and don't put anybody else's name in the chat. We will have to remove those comments if you do. Right, we're up to 8 people watching live at the moment. We'll see if any more come on, but we are going to get started with our Pobble Live. Here we go. So this is the story starter that I'm giving out today. This is the image, and we can see that it is a child sleeping. Now, last week you may say, oh, last week, sir, we did dreams. That is true. You did do dreams last week, but we are looking at a different type of dream this week. Last week, when we looked at dreams, what we were looking at was the dreams and aspirations that we might have. So dreams and goals, really. Whereas the dreams we're talking about this week are specifically about the dreams that we have at night, or the dreams that we dream during the day when they are daydreams, the fantasies, the things that aren't quite real but our brains make up when we go to dreamland. Let me read the story starter, and as ever, you could do the very simple Pobble, which would be to finish the story, to tell the story. If you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. You can just continue it. But let me read it to you. Every night they would come. They were never seen or heard, but they were always there, around the world. As the sun faded beyond the horizon and the gentle sound of children's snores, I don't think mine would be a gentle sound. It'd be more like could be heard as they slept in their beds. The Dreamgivers would come. I wonder what these Dreamgivers might look like. Maybe they look like us, like humans, or maybe smaller versions of humans. I know year 5 will have done borrowers last year, so maybe they were a little bit like the borrowers, these tiny little creatures that creep in, or maybe they're completely different, weird and strange looking and alien to us. Could be any, really. But the Dreamgivers would come, quieter than a field mouse and stealthier than a midnight fox. I like those sentences. Why do I like those sentences? I like those sentences because there's comparisons in there. And a feature of good writing, what you might want to put in your own writing, especially if you are finishing off this story, is comparative sentences, because comparing something to something else is a really good way of putting a picture into your reader's mind. So those sentences there, and you might want to use these sentences or come up with some of your own. These sentences say, quieter than a field mouse, because a field mouse is very quiet, and stealthier than a midnight fox, because foxes can be quite stealthy. Although, having quite a lot of foxes in my garden at night, I can tell you they can also be very loud, and they sound like they're screaming when they make noise. So as to the question, that song, what does the fox say? Ah! Noises like that. They would gently lean over their sleeping victims. Now, that's an interesting word, isn't it? Victim. That makes them sound quite evil or malicious or not very nice creatures. Victim. They would gently lean over their sleeping victims and whisper curious melodies into their ears. This is how dreams are given, whether they be peaceful and tranquil fantasies. Love those words, peaceful and tranquil and fantasy. And I would like us to kind of store those words for later. Or whether they torment the sleeper as they are confronted with their deepest, darkest fears. And that's the wonderful thing about dreams, isn't it? Dreams can range from our complete and utter fantasies, things that we absolutely want from our future. It can be a dream of something that doesn't even exist, or something that's absolutely magical that we want, and it can go all the way to something that is not very nice, quite terrifying and spooky. And yes, we've got in the comment there goosebumps. Yeah, it might give us goosebumps, or might be related to the spooky Goosebumps books, which I recommend. Very good books to read, very fun. Okay, so that's the story starter. And if you want to, this week, you could just finish that story. So have a think about what these dream givers are doing, and maybe generate some of the dreams they create. That could be what you do. However, we've got some other ideas here at Pobble Live, and we're going to discuss those with you, and we're going to build a little bit of language. So, in a lot of stories, in a lot of adventure stories, there will be quite a normal, average, everyday character. Usually in children's stories, it is a child character. Why is it a child character? Well, they might want to relate that story to its reader. And the reader or the audience of a child's story, other than an adult that may be reading that child's story to a child, is the child themselves. And children relate to children. So it makes sense that in a child's story, the main character also be a child because they're going through similar things to the reader. Another key feature of adventure stories is the use of some kind of portal. Many stories use this tool. I wonder if anyone in the chat, and I'll give you just a little bit of time to think about it, can anyone tell me why a story might use a portal? And if you want to use a story with a portal rather than a dream today, you can generate a story with a portal. But have a little chat in the chat. Why do you think portals are used in stories? What do they do? Think about it. There's this normal, everyday character that we can all relate to. And then there's a portal. Why? Back to the Future. There's a portal. Why wouldn't there be this portal in the story? It's a pretty common way of transportation. Yeah, absolutely. In fantasy, to grab the reader's attention, yeah, it's certainly strange, isn't it? And actually, some of the portals are quite interesting. Like in Narnia, which someone's mentioned, the portal is a wardrobe, which is a really bizarre way of presenting a portal. But I like that above where it said it's a pretty common way, and I like that how that's phrased as well. It's a pretty common mode of transportation to make it have more action and more interesting. Well, certainly when it first appears, there will be more action and more interest to make you, not to make me feel like I'm in another world, but to literally take that character and to take them from this. And this is really why portals are in there. They take them from their nice, normal, everyday, safe location, home, school, that kind of thing, and transport them to another world. And in this other world, it can be more interesting. It can be more fun. Look at Wizard of Oz. I know a lot of people really like the movie Wicked at the moment. It starts, doesn't it, on the farm with Dorothy, just kind of singing, hanging out with Toto, and then all of a sudden she gets whipped up into this tornado and she gets transported to this magical land of Oz. And a lot of stories do that. It's to take something normal and to make it fantastical. I really love that word. Fantastical is a fantastic word. Do you know what? I'm going to add that as our first word today. It's a great word, and whoever wrote that, if you come to me tomorrow and say, Mr. Keeling, I was the person who wrote fantastical, you can have 5 gem cards because that is a fantastic word. Fantastical, love it. And magical as well. It's pretty good words. We're getting them already, so I'm already going to put these down. The language of dreams. I'm already going to add those, but that was really nice and really well thought out. Yeah, realm. Whoa, we're already kind of generating this language. We haven't even got there. But I'm going to add this as well because a realm, another world, another place is a great word for it. So let's pause that language for now because what we're talking about is portals. The reason we have portals is to take something ordinary and to move it to somewhere extraordinary. It kind of goes with the build-up part of the story, or maybe even pre-build-up, just to get the story really started. It takes that character, that normal character, puts them somewhere else. Portals can also be used to bring an extraordinary character to the real world, or to our world. I don't know if anyone has ever read the story, The Knights of the Wobbly Table, but within that story, The Knights of the Wobbly Table, 3 knights get brought through a portal into our world and cause chaos. So it can work both ways. A portal can take an average everyday character and put them into a magical, fantastical, great word, world, but it can also bring these weird creatures to our world. It's a good tool in stories because you can take your character or you can bring characters to you. Vortex is another really great word, and so is supernatural and whirlpool. Getting lovely, lovely language already. Okay. The problem with portals is generally you can't suspend as much belief as you can with dreams. So with a portal, it will take you to another world, but this other world has to have rules. Or if you bring a character to your world, then they're bound by the rules of our world, unless they have certain powers, of course. The difference with dreams and describing a dream is a dream can be literally anything you want it to be. It doesn't even really need rules or need to make sense. It could be skies that drip with jam and custard in a whirlwind that lives on the top of a mountain. Dreams can be abstract, they can be weird, they can be figurative, they can be more like poetry. Yeah, they don't have to be solid. They don't have to follow that story structure. Dreams can be just something of beauty. It could just be a collection of words. Maybe we generate lots of really good words and we put them within a sphere, and that could be a dream. They don't have a solid form. Dreams don't have rules. They don't necessarily have rules. So we're not bound by the rules of building this narrative or story. A dream can just exist, and that's a lovely thing. Now, I'm going to introduce you to a website today that you can use to write about a dream world, because that's one of the main things that we're going to be talking about today, creating your own dream world. It could be an artistic piece where you draw this dream world and relate the language, or it could be a more formal, structured, written piece. It's up to you. But we're talking about dreams and dream worlds. So, before we do, let's go to what we regularly do, which is build some language. I need to watch Lego Dreams. Maybe I do. Not lettuce. I don't know. You could dream about a lettuce. I don't know if you'd get much written about it in your Pobble, but I suppose you could. Let's go on to the language. And we already started building some language. So we have fantastical, we have magical, and we have realm. I've got some words up here that could be used to describe a dream or a dreamlike world. So, for example, we've got fantasies or fantasy. Very simple, straightforward. We've got bizarre, because dreams can be bizarre, can't they? They don't always make sense. They can just be odd. And oddities is another word that I've got. A dream could be just this weird, odd thing that you want to describe. They can be incoherent. So that's a really good word for a dream, because they don't have to make logical sense. Whereas a narrative or a world, you might have the start of the story, the middle of the story, the end of a story. A dream can loop round and it can just be lots of beautiful ideas or description. It doesn't quite have to make sense, and that's fine with a dream world. It's encouraged in a dream world. Dreams don't always make clear sense to the conscious mind. Therefore, when designing your dream, you might want it to be weird or odd or bizarre or strange. We've got curious. It might raise questions. Breakdance on a motorcycle while applying lipstick simulator is an actual dream I had. That is a very interesting sounding dream. But again, it doesn't really make much sense, does it? But that's fine in the world of dreams. We're dealing with anything here, anything. And that's really interesting. They can be inspiring. So maybe it's about achieving a goal or, giving an inspiring speech, but maybe in a weird, strange fantasy world. They can be frightening. You can have nightmares. Yeah. So it's the opposite side of dreams. And that would kind of feature all that kind of negative language of dreams. Yeah. Dreams are weird. They can be weird, and that's fine too, because you're generating this weird idea of a dream. They can be mundane. I've had dreams because before I was a teacher, I worked in a bank. And before I worked in the bank, I used to work in a shoe shop. And when I worked in the shoe shop, I used to, my job was to go upstairs and to get codes for these shoes that the people on the floor wanted. And so I would get a box of shoes, and I would open the box of shoes, and I would open the box, and I'd split the box, and then I'd get a pile of shoes in my box, and then I'd walk down the stairs with my box, and I'd go out onto the shop floor, and I'd take the shoes, and I'd put the shoes on the shelf, and then I'd get the other shoes in a different size, and I'd put those on the shelf, and I'd get another pair of shoes, and I'd put those on the shelf. And I would do that so many times throughout my day that my dream would literally be that the monotony of getting something out and putting it on the shelf over and over and over again became part of my daily life and became part of my dream. And maybe you start that way. You start with this kind of monotonous dream world that's very strict and very straightforward, where every day this person creates this one task and does this task over and over and over again. But then suddenly something strange happens, and this character might realize that they're in a dream. And when they do, this kind of grey, monotone world, or monotonous on there, this kind of grey, monotonous world of grey, long corridors that's always the same and always happens, changes, it shifts to this magical realm where this task goes, and colour and rainbows and life swirl and pour into it. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to start with something quite mundane and normal and everyday and switch it up, because in dreams anything can happen. Hi. Yeah, don't say name in chat. Absolutely not. People eating a Big Mac, anything really in a dream, but we want to apply the language of dreams. They can be creepy as well. So nightmares are particularly scary because they tend to revolve around what scares you in your own mind, and that can be quite terrifying. So language of dreams, then I've got my list up there. I've got fantastical, magical, and realm, but I've got some pictures today that are going to inspire us. They're going to inspire us, one, because you could take this picture and you could write about it, or two, we're going to generate some language that you might want to write into your own dreamscape. If you don't want to do any of this, if you don't want to do the dreamscape, if you don't want to write about the dream, if you don't want to finish off the story, I have got some more ideas right at the very end for what you could do, and some more language. So stay tuned, viewer. And if you are just joining us, or if you're joining after this has gone live, then you can skip throughout the video to find the section that you want to do. Where's the Pobble sheet? You will get the Pobble sheet tomorrow, so it will match what is on here. Okay, here's our first image to help us generate language. Now, this is from a specific website, and later, towards the end, I'm going to give you the name of this website so that you can find pictures like this. It's a fantastic website. It's very similar to Pobble, where you get pictures that you can describe, very descriptive pictures. But all the pictures on this website have a kind of dream-like quality. So it's very good for, one, inspiring language and writing, and two, for building dreamscapes. So I've already seen some language that I'm going to get on the board for this one, such as isolated, which I like because this person is alone. They're in a city, I can tell because of all the big buildings in the background, but they are alone in this isolated space. I'm also going to get strangely captivating, because I like the idea of strange, and I love the word captivating. A lovely word meaning to capture someone's attention. Strangely captivating, capturing, captivating. Close, isn't it? Love that word. Who gave me that? Oh, okay. It was Real Crystally the Funophobe. Absolutely. You can have 3 gem cards for that word because it is beautiful. I do love that. Captivating. I haven't heard that on the chat so far, and it is a wonderful word. Now, just before we go into more language, let's think about what the story of this could be. So what do we see? I'm going to bring you in so you can have a closer look, and I'm going to show you the picture. So there's the top of the picture. There's the person in the house. There we go. Looking out of the window. We can see a dark, grey, moody sky. And look, we can see that this house has obviously been moving across the ground because it's tearing up the bricks of the ground. It's knocking over street lamps, and we can see the cityscape in the background, the buildings of the city, the pointed spires of the building, pretty buildings. We can see, can't we, that it's tearing through the ground of the city. So what do we think might be happening? What do we think might be happening here? Some great words coming through. What do we think might happen if this was a dream? Well, it's not remote, this house, is it? I mean, I do like the word remote, so I am going to add that to the board. But it's in the middle of a city. How did the house get there? And what do we notice? Like this, look, coming out of the chimney, smoke. What does it look like? What does it? Yeah, maybe it's a dream, and that's what we're looking at. We're going to try and build these dream images. But look, that house has got steam coming out of it, and it's traveling. What do we know has steam coming out of it and travels? The Pobble poem. Keep pobbling, 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 keep pobbling, pobbling, pobbling. Yeah, so maybe it's got a fire that's making that smoke come out. But think about something that transports. Absolutely. It looks like a train, like this house is a train, but a train that travels through cities. This house that can go anywhere. Imagine that as a dream. Imagine that you have a house that wherever you want it to go, it will go like a train. Lots of things we could write about that. Okay, wonderful. So that could be our dream basis. We are in a magical house. Reminds me a little bit of Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, where the bed can go anywhere. This has a house that can literally go anywhere that you say in the world. That would be a wonderful dream. Where would you go? Where would you go if you could tell your house to drive you anywhere? I would go to some tropical island and spend some time by the sea in the beautiful sunlight. And then I might take my house out to a lovely restaurant for dinner. And then I may, watch a bit of TV. I'm at home, aren't I? Yeah, a magical. Oh, it could maybe go on the waves, on the water, like a cruise. Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get some of that language that we had before. I like enchanted. Yeah, that could explain, that could go with this house, couldn't it? I'm going to get the word travel and to remote places around the world. So travel, because we're in this house. Ethereal, absolutely. Not quite real. We had that on the channel before. Ethereal. Adventurous, yeah, you'd have to have an adventurous spirit. We had some other ones earlier on that were really good. Let's have a look at some of these as well. Keep bobbling, pobbling, pobbling. Serene, isolated, yeah. Mind blowing, yeah. We've got isolated, but serene, maybe. So peaceful, yeah. It certainly looks quiet at the time, but I think probably when it's charging through, and we could use that, charging through the cities, catapulting is a good verb, catapulting the lonely street lamps every which way and all around. Maybe it makes a scratching or a loud, low, rumbling noise as it chugs through the city. But this is one idea for a dream. So maybe your dream involves a house that can take you anywhere. And it would be a fantasy. It would be fascinating. It would be flamboyant. Maybe it could go to Iceland. Yes, not Greenland, because Greenland would be the Arctic. Iceland is just below it. It's quite near to our country, a 2 or 3 hour flight. I've been to Iceland, very beautiful country. It might be eerie, yeah, a little bit creepy. I think we've got creepier things to come, but absolutely. So, first dream that you might want to do, you might want to take this house idea, you might want to design the house, and you might want to write about a house that can take you anywhere. Let's move on to our second dream now. Let's gather some language and some ideas. For a second dream, we might want to write about just cleaning the board. Maybe I need a cleaning the board song. I've got my Pobble song, keep pobbling, 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 keep pobbling, 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 but maybe I need a dream song, a board cleaning song as well. Okay, this is the second dream. This is a little bit more abstract here. But what could be happening here? Well, I can see piles of books. I can see a dog or a wolf that has really strange tail that goes up into the distance. I can see a figure pointing up with a lighted finger, and I can see a whale shape flying across the air, or at least made out of the stars. What could be happening here? Yeah, it's dreamy, it's mystical. I like these words that are coming out for it. It's dreamy here, isn't it? It's mystical, absolutely. Very different to the last picture, which was kind of homely and quaint and nice. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, it is a really nice picture, and I'll show you where to get these pictures soon. Goblin with the snake. That is quite an interesting dream there. Eye-catching, like it. Eye-catching. Yeah, eye-catching. What's going on, do we think, as well? Some language coming. I'm going to keep putting that language up, which is good because we can share this language and we can use it in our own work. But what do we think's actually going on here? What's she doing with this magical finger and this whale and the stars? Maybe she can use the stars to draw, and if she connects the stars, she can create magical creatures. Maybe it's a dream about creating magical creatures, and maybe you draw these magical creatures in your dream. Maybe. Let's put that whimsical down. I like it. Whimsical. Do you know what else I like? I really like that idea that just got put down. Somebody put artist. And wouldn't it be nice if this is kind of inside an artist's mind? So maybe the artist is about to paint a picture of a whale and they close their eyes and this is what they see. This is their artistic space, this world of purple hues and deep blues and stars and dreams and books, of everything that's built their world that they've read, of their companion through art, their dog that helps them come up with ideas, and maybe they paint in their mind first, in their head, before committing it to the canvas, before committing it to the page. I love the idea that this may be an artist. I like stardust, absolutely, describing the stardust. So maybe when you do this, when you talk about an artist that goes into their mind, painting a picture in the space, in the midnight sky, like it, midnight sky. We can have words like mixing or blending. So blending together, mixing, swirling, twisting, all of that language would work. What else could we have? Yeah, the whale grows arms and begins to build a Lego set. Really sticking with that Lego tonight. But, you know, it's a dream. It can be anything. And as long as it's well described, it's literary, isn't it? What other words or language come to mind when you see this? I think we had that word before, inspirational. Maybe you'd be inspired by this picture. Custom. Oh, I like that word, custom. Making your own custom creature. So maybe it is an artist, but maybe this artist is also in a fantasy world who creates custom creatures for other people. What else could it be? What else could it be? And what other language could we use to describe it? Pop it into the chat. What do we think? How could we describe the stars? How could we describe those piles of books? You can describe every aspect of it, really, can't you? Invisible, absolutely. Almost like it's not there. Think about those books, the crinkled pages, crinkled. The rustling as they turn in the wind, the smell of the old books, the smell of knowledge, the smell of writing. Turns imagination into spaceships for astronauts. Wow, that is abstract, but I like it. And that word abstract. So really nice little list there for anybody who wants to do a dream about an artist creating animals, or a dreamscape, or just for a picture to describe it. Let's have a look at another dream. So we had the house that can go anywhere and the artist that could create anything. Maybe you want to write about those two dreams, or perhaps you would like to write about this dream. Oh, now this ties in, and I won't stay long with this one. I put this one here. To tie in with the last image, because if the artist can create their own creatures, maybe your dream is just about something that's never existed before, a dream creature that you want to draw. I'm not going to do a language list on this one, but you know, you could do it by mixing together several creatures. This one here looks very proud and majestic and thoughtful and calm and composed and serious. There's some sadness, isn't there? Like a little whisper of despair. Something angelic about it as well, with the shimmering golden light playing off the feathers. all that language you could use to describe your own creature. Kind of to me looks like a dragon merged with a goose. If that's what you want your creature to be, that's something that you can absolutely do. Greek mythology, yeah, maybe you delve into a dream where you go into the past. Or I know I've got some people on here who absolutely love history. Why not, in your dreams, go to famous places throughout history, and maybe you go there with your mythical creature? I want to answer this one here, this dream that you might have, because this one is slightly darker. This one's slightly creepier, and I do like, as you know, my creepy stories. So here we have a little boy in a forest, in darkness, in black and white here. We have this weird fish-like creature with bright eyes that's swimming through or flying through the forest. Oh, I like that. I like imaginary friend. Maybe it's an imaginary friend, and maybe your dream is about something that is imaginary, an imaginary friend. Absolutely. What other language can we get for this one? Because this one's slightly more gothic, isn't it? You know, kind of that kind of older style, you know, that kind of creepy style. So that petrifying, absolutely. Eerie comes back here. Yeah, definitely eerie comes to mind here. I get kind of silence abounding, you know, that nothingness, silence, nothingness. Again, I get kind of emptiness and despair. So maybe it's empty. What else do we get? Yeah, I mean, it could be quite a cruel, evil creature, absolutely. So I'm going to kind of get like cruel, or evil, or wicked, or monstrous. Yeah, it could have lured in its prey. So maybe using, because it's got one of those lights that fish use as a lure. So I'm going to use the word lure. Maybe it's lured its prey into the woods. Sea lion who's made friends with the boy. I mean, that's quite nicer. Oh, I like that word up there. That one's going to get 3 gem cards. Bleak. Love it. Love that word. Bleak. Not very nice. Kind of empty, kind of bleak. Anything else that you might use to describe that? Anything else that you might use to describe that? Yeah, you could relate it to kind of like evil, or kind of like have a really negative energy. Absolutely. Dismal. Love it. Dismal. Not very nice, not very pleasant. Dismal. Absolutely. Dreary. Yeah. Dreary, like in the D's here. Dismal, dreary, dreadful might be another one, or something full of dread. Unnerving, wonderful, unnerving. Love this language. Unnerving, something that's unsettling. I'm going to add as well. There's something not quite right here. And again, you don't have to do a story. That's the great thing about dreams. It doesn't have to be a complete narrative. It can just be a feeling, some sentences, an emotion, a jar of words, however you want to do it. And I hope some of these pictures have given you some ideas for dreams that you can conjure. Because right now I want to share something with you. And it's not that. And it's not that. In fact, it is here. It's this bit here. This is one of the things that you could do with your Pobble this week. And that is to visit a website which is called Once Upon a Picture. And Once Upon a Picture is where I got all 4 of those pictures from. It has lots of really wonderful pictures about other worlds, other dreams, and other weird situations. I think one of my favorites, because I've got 3 cats, is there's a picture of cats that are at school. So that could be a little dream or a little story that you create. But I suggest, if you'd like to go into this and actually write a narrative or some feelings about a dream, visit, after this video finishes, Once Upon a Picture, and find your favorite picture. If you can at home, you could print it out, or you could come and ask me and I can print it out for you. Or you can just describe it, draw it, build it as part of your Pobble project. Let's look at what else you could do this week. You could also create a diorama of your own dreamland using a shoebox. If you are creative, if you are somebody who actually likes to make things, why not? Thinking about the dream world or using a picture as your inspiration, make a diorama, make your world inside of a shoebox. You can apply the language that we've built, but it could be anything in that shoebox. It could be beautiful, it could be terrifying, it could be interesting, it could be anything you want. Maybe you use a real dream to create your diorama, but that's another one if you are particularly creative and want to make something. Something else you could do, you could make a mood board. So that's not where you create something solid, and this works with dreams. Maybe you get a sheet of paper and you just put the color of dreams on there, words that remind you of dreams, little pictures from newspapers or magazines that remind you of dreams. We've made mood boards in year 6. It might be something that you want to try and do. Research mood boards and come up with a dream mood board that represents your dream. Yeah, you absolutely, you could make an advert poster for a dream world. Yeah, maybe an advert that would exist within the dream world. That's a really lovely idea. Third one, and really good one, as I mentioned, go to Once Upon a Picture and see if there's a picture that you really like. Or if you want to, go right back to the beginning of this video, listen to the story that I read and tell me the story of the dream makers. Something that will be helpful for you to do that is even more language. I wonder if we've covered most of this language. Well, we have got peaceful, absolutely. We've talked about nightmare. We've talked about imagination. We've got adventurous. We've had that. Surreal. We haven't had that word. Surreal is something that doesn't quite seem or feel real. Surreal, like that word. Unpredictable, not knowing what's going to happen next. That's a great word to use for dreams. Astonishing, something that's utterly shocking. Maybe your dream is about something really shocking. A dramatic twist, perhaps. Wonderful, unforgettable, something you never forget, although I forget most of my dreams. Frightening, so that's kind of those horrifying nightmares, thoughts, and dreamy or dream-like. I hope this video has given you inspiration for writing. I hope you've enjoyed Pobble this term, and I hope you will join me again next term when we do more Pobble writing. I've really enjoyed reading your work. I've really enjoyed giving out our Pobble prizes, and I've really enjoyed being here with you in the chat. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening along. And as always, keep pobbling, pobbling, pobbling. Keep pobbling, pobbling, pobbling. See you next time. Have a great holiday.